good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, and this is your Arkansas Daily Briefing. We are going to start with some big election news. Democratic State Senator Fred Love of Little Rock has announced that he's going to run for governor. Now, Senator Love has been in the legislature since 2010, and he is now term limited. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple of days ago, maybe last week, we talked about his wife, Sharonda Love. She is going to be running for his Senate seat among other Democrats. That's going to be a very interesting race. Now, Senator Love said he wants to focus on investing in communities in Arkansas that he says have been sidelined. And he rolled out a place-based economic development plan that has a lot of the standards that you'll hear in campaign promises: regional economic hubs, better internet, water and utility infrastructure, etc. Now, Love has previously worked as Pulaski County's Community Services Director, but he resigned in 2023, and then he later sued the county officials over alleged racial discrimination. The judge did not find those claims to be substantiated, and that case was dismissed earlier this month. Love is not the only Democrat in that race. He will face Gary Husky in the Democratic primary for governor, and there's also expected to be other Democrats that announce in the coming months as well. So I don't think Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is probably too worried about this. I mean, barring something really weird happening, she's probably not going to have a whole lot of trouble with whatever Democrat comes out of that primary. Republicans hold every statewide office, and they have supermajorities in both chambers of the General Assembly. Getting a little wonky with the numbers, in 2022, Sanders beat Democrat Chris Jones, who by just about any standard was a great candidate. He was very hardworking, very likable. I think he even had an ad that went like viral nationally. He was able to raise a ton of money. Despite all that, Sanders beat Jones 63% to 35%. And going back to 2018, Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson, he beat the Democrat Jared Henderson 65% to 32%. And those numbers are pretty similar for any statewide office. Republicans tend to be in the 60s, and Democrats typically top out in the 30s. Again, that's for state races. If you go down to some legislative races or more local races, yes, sometimes Democrats perform better, but on the state level, it's basically that 60-30 breakdown. Okay, moving on, I want to talk about lithium. And first, I want to point out why lithium is important. Lithium-ion batteries are critical to consumer electronics like phones, laptops. Basically, any portable tech that you have probably has a lithium-ion battery. It's also in EVs and in any modern military equipment, from communications to unmanned drones. And right now, the challenge is the U.S. is heavily dependent on foreign lithium, especially from China. Lithium-rich areas like South Arkansas, they're critical to building a domestic supply. That supply is important not just for economic growth for our state, which it is, but also it's important for national defense and for energy sovereignty for our country. And when I say Arkansas is lithium-rich, here's what I mean. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that the Smackover Formation may hold up to 19 million tons of lithium. In context, that's enough lithium to meet the global electric vehicle battery demand 9 times over by 2030. So that's why this matters. Now, what's going on here in Arkansas? For the second time in 2 months, Arkansas regulators have approved a lithium royalty deal for landowners in the southern part of the state. On Monday, the Arkansas Oil and Gas Commission approved a 2.5% royalty rate for lithium extracted by Saltwerx. Saltwerx is a company affiliated with ExxonMobil. Those royalties will go to landowners in Lafayette and Miller counties, where Saltwerx plans to pull lithium from underground brine in that Smackover Formation. So we talked about this a little bit last month because back in May, Standard Lithium, a different company, received the same 2.5% royalty rate for its operations in Columbia and Lafayette counties. The state's involved in this because state law requires that royalty payments for brine extraction be fair and equitable. That's quote, fair and equitable. And commissioners agreed that these 2.5% royalty proposals met that standard. As with everything, not everyone is happy about it. There were 8 written objections that were submitted, including one from a group of landowners and a Houston-based firm called BRP LLC. BRP LLC jointly owns mineral rights with International Paper. They're pushing for a sliding scale that would raise royalty rates when lithium prices rise, saying that the flat 2.5% deal gives Saltwerx too much upside with too little risk. So in a nutshell, you're about to see a major boom in South Arkansas. Onto a sad story that just will not end. We talked yesterday about how Saline County was having a meeting last night to discuss animal control after the death of that 15-year-old girl in a dog attack. Well, last night we learned that another woman was attacked by a pit bull in Saline County on Friday. The woman and her son attended that meeting held at Benton High School, along with around 100 people voicing their concerns about the lack of animal control or even laws or regulations for Saline County pet owners. They say pet owners, but let's get real. People are not being mauled by Auntie Jane's tabby cat. We are, of course, primarily talking about pit bulls and boxer mixes. Now, this latest attack, the woman's son said that she was attacked by a pit bull at around 3 a.m. on Friday morning in the middle of a road. He said that vehicles kept driving by her as she was screaming and being attacked, and not one person stopped to help her. He said it was a miracle that she survived. At the meeting, people talked about various solutions, including leash laws, investment in an animal shelter, or limits on the number of pets that someone could have. But one thing was loud and clear. Many residents do not feel safe in their own cities. Some said they don't even feel comfortable walking to their mailbox without carrying pepper spray. One woman referenced the deceased 15-year-old who, by the way, she died trying to help those dogs that ended up killing her. And the woman said, "Why are our children having to step in and do something, but the men who run our county are just sitting back and doing nothing?" So we'll see if people stand up and start doing something over in Saline County about this very obvious problem. Over to a follow-up on another story we've been talking about. A state lawmaker was threatened just days after he asked the Attorney General to look into the city of Fayetteville's immigration policy. Representative Kendon Underwood of Cave Springs received the threat through a mobile app called Text Free, and detectives used Apple records and IP address information to trace that message to a man's home in Rogers. So the threat said, quote, "Enjoy your time in office. Your day of judgment will come before you know it." Now that threat was traced back to Brian Rice, age 40, again in Rogers, and he has been charged with terroristic threatening. So a quick rehash on the story. After Fayetteville Mayor Molly Ron said last week that the city would not help ICE with its immigration enforcement, Representative Kendon Underwood asked the AG to look into its policies, and that was in light of a state law that bans discretionary funding for cities that have sanctuary policies. Rice, the man who sent the text message, he told officers that he sent the messages merely to express his political dissatisfaction, but he also admitted that he had been researching Molotov cocktails. So what are you going to do? The Benton County prosecuting attorney said that these threats should be taken seriously. So Rice is now being held in the Benton County Jail on $50,000 bond. All right, that wraps us up for today. It is a wild, wild world out there, folks. So be safe, and we will see you tomorrow.